Welcome to Reddit Blue Pill Red Pill, where we go over Reddit stories and predict the outcome of the stories. Please listen and play along by typing in your choices into the comments. There are 5 seconds to answer, or you can pause the video. Today we have a story about a woman who decided not to attend her sister's wedding. There is also an update that the OP wrote in an entirely different post, so that will be included at the end. Alright, let's get on to the story.
Obligatory, this is a throwaway account clarification. I'm very active in a D&D sub that I don't particularly want it to be tied to this situation. So my younger sister, Katie 28 female, and her partner, Chris 29 male, are getting married in April in Dubai. She has always wanted an extravagant wedding and is going all out on this. So the wedding is happening over 4 days. There's 70 guests, but they want us, me, my husband, and parents, to stay in the same hotel with them along with her bridesmaids, which I am maid of honor, and groomsmen. The hotel is pretty luxe, so with flights is costing us just over $2,900 each. Chris's family are also staying in the hotel, which includes his parents, 2 brothers, and his nephew.
The OP sister has decided to marry in Dubai. The wedding is extravagant and will be costing a pretty penny for each guest to attend, not to mention any additional expenses while there. But the thing I fear with these types of weddings is the financial toll it would take on the invited guests. I would think most everyday people would have to decline an invitation such as this, especially with how the economy is now. But it also depends on the financial situation of those invited. If the friends and family are of an upper financial class, then asking to attend a wedding in Dubai may not be such a big deal to them. What do you think? Do you think it is advisable to do such an extravagant wedding in a foreign country? If so, type Q1 blue in the comments. If you think it is not a good idea and would be too much to ask for potential guests, then type Q1 red.
They are well off. I don't know exactly how much they earn combined, but I know Katie is on $88K and she is the lower earner. But about 6 months ago, Chris and Katie came to us and asked to borrow $17K more. They stressed it would be a loan, paid overtime, and said the venue had increased the price, Dubai law was different, blah, blah, blah. They paid this money or they lost a lot. We believed them and I offered to loan $7K and my parents the other $10K.
The OP's sister and her fiancé hit a snag with the Dubai location, and the fees apparently jumped up $17K. Yikes. This is one of the things I would fear about hosting a wedding in a faraway place. If there are any issues, it would be harder to solve since it's in a location so far away. While the OP said her sister and fiancé are well off and have high earning jobs, it's surprising they needed to ask for a loan. But then again, this type of location must have made them extend their finances to the brink, so maybe they just didn't have anything left to cover this problem. But at least this is clearly a loan, so there's that. What do you think? Would you have loaned the couple money to help save their wedding? If so, type Q2 blue in the comments. If you would not have loaned them money because they were foolish to overextend themselves in the first place, type Q2 red.
So, long story short, I have since found out through someone else that the $17K wasn't for the venue. It was for Chris's family to fly over there. They saw how much it was going to be, didn't want to pay, and refused to go. I asked Katie and she confirmed, so my first question was, if they were paying for his parents, why not pay for ours? I would never expect them to pay for me. Even if we couldn't afford it, I'd have wished them well and stayed at home. And her answer was, because they can afford it. She got very defensive and said this was the fairest way she could think of doing it. It's hard enough planning a wedding, etc. But when I asked, if you genuinely thought this was the fairest way to do it, why did you lie about what the $17K was for and say it was a venue issue? She couldn't answer.
So the truth comes out. The $17K loan was to fly the groom's family to the venue. Remember that the OP, her parents, and all other guests have to pay £2,900 each out of their own pockets, while the groom's family have their expenses all paid for. To be fair, the couple are actually footing this bill. They just asked for a loan from the OP's family and will be paying it off over time. The main complaint is that the groom's family didn't have to take money from their own pockets to attend, while the OP and her family have to not only pay, but also lend money for the groom's family to attend for free. The sisters said that it was the fairest way they could think of doing it, but do you believe her? It seems the groom's parents backed out at the last minute, and the sister and groom had to take the financial hit, since they wanted the groom's family to attend. But it still leaves things in a very unfair state. What do you think? If you think the sister was fine in deciding to pay for the groom's parents to attend, type Q3 blue in the comments. If you think it was unfair to ask the OP and her parents to pay their own way while the groom's family get free tickets, then type Q3 red.
My parents are aware and are very disappointed they lied, but have said they're still attending, but I have backed out. To me, it feels like my parents are being taken advantage of. And if they couldn't afford to pay for both ours and Chris's parents and his brothers and nephew, then they shouldn't have just paid for the four parents or no one at all. And they especially shouldn't have lied about it. Katie and Chris keep calling and asking me to attend, saying I'm making them feel bad and ruining their day. But the whole thing just feels icky to me. I'm genuinely an open book, so be brutal. Am I being an a-hole here? Should I just suck it up and go?
Now the OP's parents are also aware of the lie, but they will still be attending. The OP, however, has decided not to go. Her sister and fiancé are calling and trying to guilt-trip the OP to change her mind. But so far, it hasn't worked. The OP is still indignant about the fact that the groom's family had their tickets and expenses taken care of, while her parents were not. While the OP has every right to be mad, is she being too harsh? Perhaps the groom's parents initially agreed to go and pay their own way, but something unexpected came up, and the couple decided to ask for the loan in order to try to resolve a difficult situation. If the couple had not done this, then the groom's family would not have attended, which would be crushing to him. Also, as I have stated previously, the couple are the ones footing the bill for the groom's parents to attend. They did not ask for free money from the OP's family. What do you think? If you think the couple were practically forced to ask for a loan to try to save their wedding and should be given leeway, type Q4 blue in the comments. If you think the couple ended up favoring the groom's parents over the OP's tally, then type Q4 red. After the initial post, there were two updates made under the same page. This is the first update.
Edit 1. Crumbs, that's a lot of comments. Thanks so much, everyone. Just wanted to answer a couple of comments that have come up a lot. The repayment. My husband's brother is a solicitor, and he kindly drew up a contract and repayment plan for both myself and my parents. So the money will be paid off within 12 months of the wedding. If they don't stick to this, I have access to a free solicitor. I hope it wouldn't come to that, but that's why I have the papers for worst case scenario. Asking for the $7,000 back, I might be a soft touch, but asking for this back feels like a step too far. Like I'm mad as hell, but not enough to actively try to ruin their wedding a few weeks before, which it feels like is what that would be doing. But hey, give me a few more days to stew.
The OP here gives some additional details about the loans. They actually had contracts signed, which is great. The loans are to be paid within the year. The OP also mentions that while she seems to not be attending the wedding, she did not ask for the loan money to be returned immediately. I commend the OP, since she had every right to ask for the loan money back, especially since the loan was given under false pretenses. What do you think? If you would have asked for the $7,000 to be returned once you decided not to attend the wedding, type Q5 red in the comments. If you would not have asked for the money to be returned, type Q5 blue. Now here's the final initial update.
Edit 2. Thanks again for all the feedback, everyone. Just another quick FYI. A few people have asked about Chris's family or seem to have the impression they're well off. I'm obviously not privy to their financial situation, but what limited amount I do know from what Katie has said, Chris and his family grew up very poor. Before all of this, I'd always thought Chris was a lovely guy, but I had caught him in the odd but harmless white lie. Things like where he went to school, the type of house he grew up in. etc. I get the impression he is embarrassed or resentful of his upbringing given their lack of money. And this is how he now values his own self-worth, by how much money he has. My guess is when his parents said they couldn't go, he panicked and worried people would ask why they weren't there, and he would either have to say they couldn't afford it or he couldn't afford to pay for them. And looking at his past trauma experience is not for me to judge, but if that were the case, it just makes me more mad that they both didn't plan ahead and talk to friends and family about what they could afford before booking Dubai. If it was such a deal breaker for his family to be there, they should have factored in the cost of paying for all parents to attend instead of thrusting a $3K per person bill at them and expecting them to rock up.
Here we have more info on the groom's family. It seems they were very poor, and perhaps they remain so, except for the groom, who is now well off. The OP is theorizing that when the groom's parents decided not to go due to the cost, the groom paid for their expenses as a way to save face. But could it simply just be a son wanting to help his parents attend his wedding? But the OP does have a point about how her sister and fiancé should have taken the additional out-of-pocket expenses into account when deciding to plan their wedding in Dubai. Before hearing the new update to this situation, let's hear some comments on the original post.
Not the a-hole. Yet one of the many reasons I dislike destination weddings. They're the penultimate egocentric events.
If it was important to have the families there, then why are they doing this extravagant wedding? 4 days! In Dubai, of all places. Why not someplace closer and less expensive for travel? It sounds like you're all in the UK, so there are lots of great countries nearby that would have beautiful venues.
Wait a second. Not only are they not paying for your parents, they're having your parents pay for his? That's like a double whammy. I don't know if you should go or not. Your choice will have a long-lasting impact on your relationship with your sister. Only you can decide if that is worth salvaging.
Please tell us you got that $7K loan in writing. You know they're going to claim it was a gift, especially after you saved so much money by not attending.
Not the a-hole. Most rich people stay rich because they know how to get things for free. Your sister is an ass for having the destination wedding. More so by borrowing money under false pretenses. If you are willing to pay your own way, then you should go. Don't hold it against the other side for being more sensible than yours. On the other hand, destination weddings are always optional, so not the a-hole if you decide not to attend.
Now on to the new update, which was written in a new page 3 months after the original post.
I had a lot of messages at the time of posting asking for an update on what I decided to do, so wanted to check in. So in short, I didn't end up going to the wedding. Katie and Chris basically harassed me constantly until a few days before they were due to fly out. I received a belligerent voicemail from Katie saying if I didn't go, I wasn't her sister anymore. I was embarrassing myself and her and Chris. I was a horrible person, and most shockingly, if I didn't go, then her and Chris wouldn't be paying me or my parents back for the money we loaned, so trying to blackmail me. She would say it was a gift, I faked the contract, and I would have to take her to court. She was clearly drunk at the time. The voicemail was left on the night she was having her at-home Hindu, which I also obviously didn't attend. But it was so beyond anything I thought she was capable of. I ended up sharing it with my parents, and they also reluctantly pulled out of attending. I heard through friends and family in attendance at the wedding after, her and Chris were telling everyone I had alienated her from her family and told lies to our parents. We gifted money and expected them to pay for us, etc., etc., and they made the decision to uninvite myself and my husband. Other, more insulting things were said that I don't particularly want to go into. Suffice to say, they were very hurtful. As I mentioned in my post, I had my brother-in-law solicitor draw up a contract for repayment for both myself and my parents. What was supposed to be the first repayment date passed without word from either of them, so brother-in-law picked up from there. His attempts to reach them were ignored, apart from one email from what I think was a fake law firm outlining the money was gifted, the contract was fraudulent, and to take them to court basically. In response to that, brother-in-law sent a copy of the voicemail Katie left and a final demand outlining the payment plan was now null and void, and we wanted the money in full within 30 days or we would indeed be going to court. Magically, the full amount appeared in our accounts 5 days later. Again, I've heard on the grapevine since the wedding, they have been telling anyone who would listen we asked for our gift back out of the blue and disowned them, and how much of a difficult financial position they're in because of this. So that's that. I can't see myself having a relationship with her after this, which is devastating. But at the same time, I truly believe now, after everything, that that isn't my fault. Thanks again to everyone who gave advice. I hope this update is enough for everyone who asked for one.
Wow, things took an even darker route than I could have even imagined. The couple tried to guilt trip the OP so much that they weaponized the loan and said they would have to be sued for the money if the OP didn't attend. If the couple were trying to not draw attention to themselves by forcing the OP to attend their wedding, then they now had an even bigger fiasco when the sister's entire family didn't show up. By this point, I don't know if the sister or her husband were the main instigators for this mess, but in the end, it doesn't matter whose idea it was. The damage is done by now, and a family is perhaps forever broken over something so silly. But this is still a unique look into what happens after someone posts a question on Reddit asking for advice. Most times, people may write small updates, but we usually do not get to hear the final outcome for the OPs. So it's interesting to hear how things can truly end in these stories. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you for watching all the way to the end and participating. Please consider liking and subscribing to watch future videos. Goodbye.